Hello, hello! Welcome once more to another live stream of Marvel Heroes. I am your host here. We're going to be streaming the game today, which is exciting. And I have a very special guest with me, as you can tell from his title. I don't know if you can read his complete title here, but it is important. It's more important than me. So my name's Stephen Reed. I'm Director of Community and Customer Service here at Gazillion. And this, I'm very glad to say, is Clint Thorne, character artist, paleontologist, race car driver, and croc wrestler.
Especially croc wrestler.
Beat that. So Clint is here today primarily for his character artist role. I hate to disappoint any of you croc wrestling fans, but mostly wanted him on here today to talk Iron Man, because today is Iron Man 3 release day, finally, in North America. I know all of you Australians and you European people have seen the movie already. Damn you! But we're going today finally to see the movie, so we're excited about that.
We are all very excited.
And I wanted to bring Clint on because he's the man on point for doing the art and character modeling for Iron Man. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Just as a reminder, in case you haven't heard, we are in open beta this weekend. And believe it or not, every time I've streamed this week, these timings have been wrong. And they're wrong again. And you know why? Because we're live now! That's right, we opened up the servers early. So the servers are live right now. If you happen to be watching this, and you're waiting for the servers to go live later this evening, good news, you can log in right now and play right now. So go ahead, get in there, download the client. If you haven't opened the client recently, there was a patch that was pushed out last night which fixed some of the errors that we had a problem with. So yeah, get in there and make sure that you're patched up and ready to go, because it's all going down, and you wanna be in on it. All right, so as usual, we're going to play this pretty fast and loose and pretty casual. Before we start, I think we're going to talk a bit about Iron Man, which is the topic of the day. But yeah, as a final reminder, you can sign up right now. Tell your friends to sign up right now at marvelheroes.com. They can download the client, they can get in, they can play. The servers will be open. They are open right now, and they will be open until Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 6 p.m. in London. So there you go. So let's go back to this game cam here and show off some of our favorite characters. We've got a couple of other people here who have gathered with us from my team. And yeah, I'm playing Iron Man. Your favorite character, isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Why do you like him?
Because
is it the shiny head?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I developed my original affinity for Iron Man, I wasn't yet bald.
Like Tony Stark. I mean, we all know that happens to every man. Eventually, he will go bald.
It's not happening to me.
Yeah, you're 20-something. I'm telling you. It's happened to Robert Downey Jr. already. But anyway, by the way.
I was a big fan of Iron Man in the 70s when I
Mhm.
started reading Marvel Comics. And I've always been a tech geek, and he seemed real. Seemed like someday we would be able to build armor that would make you a superhero, and that seemed like a cool thing.
That hasn't happened yet.
No, hasn't happened yet, but we're getting closer.
We don't have our flying cars yet either, so
No,
that's
I want my flying car.
Like Nick Fury's. It's great.
Nick Fury's flying car, yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you do. So, something I want to point out to anyone who's coming onto the stream for the first time. You're going to look at some of these character models, and you're going to say, wow, those character models look a little low res. Well, that's because, in case you didn't know, Marvel Heroes is an isometric-based action RPG. So you're mostly going to be running around at this kind of level of zoom, and you can, of course, zoom in the camera like so you can see your characters up close and personal, which is what I'm going to do here. But the character models are designed to be seen at this kind of a distance, and in addition, of course, there's a lot of people who are going to run around on your screen at the same time. Let me just close my social barrier. We are in Avengers Tower right now, which is one of our social areas, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of other heroes hanging out, doing their thing, and grouping up and doing the kind of stuff you're going to do. My faithful companions running after me because apparently they don't know what I'm doing. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why things can look a little low res when you come zoomed in on them, because basically that's us optimizing the game to run as best as it can with a lot of people on screen at once. But let's talk a little bit about, I've got a bunch of the Iron Man costumes here. In case you don't know about the way that Marvel Heroes works, everyone can play as their favorite Marvel heroes. So we don't really mind if there's a lot of people who are playing with Iron Man at the same time. That's your choice. If you, when you're partied up with other friends, you don't want to play as Iron Man, you want to play as another character, then you can press the T key anytime you like, and I'll move this to the middle here, and you'll access your hero roster, which will allow you to play as any character that you have unlocked in the game. Now, every character in the game can be unlocked for free. They drop as random loot off of characters and villains in the game. So if you want to get Black Panther but you don't want to spend any money, then don't worry about it. Just go ahead and play the game, and eventually, hopefully, you'll get him as a drop. And if at any time you feel like you want to bypass that wait, then you can just go right ahead and you can buy Black Panther as an optional purchase, or you can buy him as part of our Founders program, which is happening right now at MarvelHeroes.com. And as you can see there, I can instantly switch between any character that I have unlocked. Well, I say instantly; it's a channel, but it's pretty quick. It certainly isn't a log out of the game and log in again, so it's nice and quick. So let's switch ourselves back to Iron Man here, and let's talk a bit about alternate costumes. So alternate costumes are the way to make yourself look a little bit different from the other Iron Man in the world. In actual fact, I'm wearing... What am I wearing here, Clint? I think I'm wearing Mark III.
I think you are too.
Yeah, Mark III. We've all gotten extremely familiar with the differes in Iron Man's movie armors, especially
Absolutely.
Clint.
Especially
I think
me.
I'm familiar, but he spent many, many, many hours. So let me just quickly show you. So Iron Man's default costume here is his Extremis armor. Taken from, oddly enough, the Extremis storyline that Warren Ellis and I think Adi Granoff did in Marvel a few years ago, which, if you haven't heard, is kind of the basis of the plot of Iron Man 3. I'll know more after I see it later on. So that was the first armor that we did, and that's a very slick and kind of sleek look. But we want to talk a bit more about the movie armors, because those are really the ones that Clint has been sweating over. Let me just jump ahead here. So we start off with a classic, in my eyes, which is the Mark II armor. This is the sort of prototype armor that Tony makes in the first Iron Man movie. Now, this might not be the best example of talking through the process here, Clint, but I mean, this one, I suppose, relatively simple because it was a very similar armor to Mark III, right? Pretty much apart from the paint job.
Well, actually, it went the other direction. The Mark III was fairly simple because it was similarity to the Mark II.
Oh, okay.
And there are differences. They're subtle. The Mark II has rivets in it that Tony obviously took out of the improved design, possibly to improve aerodynamics. But there are some subtle differences like that. But primarily the difference is just the paint job between the two of them.
The cool thing about when we're doing alternate costumes for the game, one thing we're always aware of is that people are playing the game from this kind of a perspective. And one set of red and gold Iron Man armor can kind of look a little similar to another set. So in this case, this is the Mark VI armor, and then there's the Mark III. So from a distance, it could look kind of similar. But that's why costumes like the Mark II were pretty awesome, because the Mark II is pretty much silver from head to toe. So there's no mistaking that look as you're running around in the game. It's very clear. It's kind of similar to this armor, which is one of my favorites. This is the stealth costume in the comics style, which was debuted in, I think, early 80s. Yeah, there's various options that are available to you. So let's talk a bit about Mark VI, but I think the one I really want to talk about is Mark V, because this is pretty awesome.
One of my favorite suits.
So this is the Mark V costume, which is of course seen in Iron Man 2. We also call it the suitcase armor. Relatively briefly, it's like one scene, right?
Yep.
In that movie.
It's pretty quick, and Whiplash trashes the armor in a big hurry.
Carves it off of him
Yeah.
in a pretty quick fashion. So this is kind of one of the few chances that you get from a video gaming perspective to see the armor up close, and also to kind of get a level of the detail. Can you remind me, because I know, so tell us a little bit about the process, because we got you the actual models from Marvel. They were very kind enough to share the CD models with us.
Right. Well, the motion picture models are millions of polygons, which is significantly more than we could ever hope to put in the game. So they give us the movie models, which we then carve up into segments of manageable proportions, and then we take those segments and create new versions of them with a new topology that is much lighter, has many fewer polygons. This armor we reduced by almost a factor of 100, I think.
Wow.
The trick is to make sure when you're retopologizing, which is to say creating the new polygons to form the surface. The trick is to retain as much of the detail as possible, because obviously these models with millions of polygons have a lot of detail. The trick is to replace them with larger, less detailed polygons and still maintain the detail. And so it can be a guessing game, but primarily it's experience. And I have enough gray in my beard that experience isn't a problem. You just know where to make sure that you put the detail in, and where the normal map or the other maps will carry the detail in other sections.
So where can you point to an area of like high polygon detail on a model like this?
Very definitely his abdomen. He has,
this area.
yeah. The thing with the Iron Man armors is they have multiple levels. They're skins layered over other skins. It gives the armor a lot of depth and a lot of detail and a lot of visual interest, but it also makes it very difficult to create a game version, because you can't actually put an inner armor and then an outer mechanical layer and then finally the most outer shell for a game mesh. It won't work that way. So you try to put different levels of polygons, even though they're all a continuous surface. You try to put different levels of polygons in the low poly mesh so that it will represent those multiple levels of armor that Tony's wearing. And so along the sides of his abdomen there, where you can see the detail that's underneath, there are additional polygons, so that as the character turns on screen, there's the proper parallax reveal to give it depth.
Awesome. Now, of course, I know some of you guys, you're watching on a stream here, you might not be able to see this sort of level of detail, but that's why you need to play the game. You need to get in and check out the Mark V armor, which is just one of the armors we've got in the game. We haven't even shown you all of the Iron Man armors. We have a whole ton. We have some sort of secret armors. We have a chase armor, which you haven't really talked very much about. We have an armor for the Marvel Now look, which Tony has now, which is kind of a black and gold thing. And we've also even revealed recently that you've been working on some Iron Man 3 related stuff too.
Absolutely.
We just put this trailer live today. If you haven't had a chance to see it, go to our YouTube channel. It'll be on our news page later on today. And that shows you 4 specialty suits from Iron Man 3, one of which is going to be in the game at launch, which is the Star Boost armor, which I get my marks confused, but I believe that's the Mark 39.
I get them confused as well. It's just Star Boost to me.
Yeah.
39?
I think it's 39, yeah.
I think it's
the
39 as well.
suborbital suit, which is kind of Tony's, leaving Earth suit, which I'm hoping to see, or looking forward to seeing in Iron Man 3. All right, so I need to, play some game, because otherwise people get bored. So let's go out into the world here, and we're gonna go kick some butt. We'll stay in the Mark V suit here.
Good choice.
All right, we're gonna head. Where are we gonna head? What am I? I'm pretty early, so we know that there's gonna be some people who are watching here, who are gonna be new to the game. So I'm gonna try and give you a little bit of detail. I'm just gonna tell my party where we're going. All right, we're heading out to Hell's Kitchen. So. I'm tempted to just say, Croc Wrestler, go!
Well, of course, everyone around the office, if you hadn't guessed, video game developers are a bunch of unruly characters. And they have, I used to have a pet crocodile.
Uh-huh.
And so they decided that I was in a previous life a crocodile wrestler.
Okay. So it's not quite as exciting.
No, it's not quite as exciting.
Right.
Though there were some exciting days with the pet crocodile.
I was under the impression that it had tried to attack you or something.
No, my wife, actually.
It tried to attack your wife?
Yes.
Okay, crazy.
That's actually a great story.
All right, guys, I just want to remind you, in case you aren't already throwing us questions, Ryan is here, the disembodied hand to your right, my left. He's here and he's taking questions from us in the Twitch chat room, so we'll throw those out. So let me give a quick spiel on the game as a whole, in case you didn't know. Like I've obviously pointed out, isometric action RPG is the first thing to realize. You play as the Marvel heroes rather than as their sidekicks or your own knockoff version of these characters. The game mostly takes place in... Oh, by the way, just in case anyone's asking, I have the game sound muted right now because I'm going to be talking to Clint right a lot. The game mostly takes place in what we call PCZs, public combat zones. Public combat zones are large and randomly generated public zones, which are basically inhabited by a lot of players at the same time. You can run around these zones and you'll be trying to complete objectives and quests and mostly killing a lot of bad guys, because That's what tends to happen in action RPGs. And public combat zones will hold dozens and dozens of players at the same time, and then they instance if they need to get any bigger. You will be able to find your friends through various methods, and the obvious one being that you party up with them. If you're partied together with somebody else, then you will always be able to open a portal to get to them if you need to. And this is what we call a discovery. If you note here, it says defend police barricade. So discoveries are small and quickly accessed events that happen around public combat zones, and when you see these, it's kind of up to you to whether or not you want to take part in them. But generally, they involve some sort of objective that everybody in the zone can take part in. So in this case, we have a whole bunch of muggers from the Hellbane gang who've kind of escaped this jail here, and the police need some help in driving them off. So we have to defeat as many of them as possible. Police seem to be doing all right in this case.
They're kicking butt.
Seem to be doing okay.
I love the spotlight.
I see you just unlocked Repulsor Barrage, which is one of my favorite powers.
Oh yeah, I did level. I should make sure I grab that. There we go. This is the one that everybody who's seen any of our Iron Man videos has seen this particular power. Rapid fire repulsor destruction. Ooh, product belt. Yeah, so public combat zones are the first type of zone that we're talking about, and then in addition to that, we also have instances, and we're going to try and find an instance, and we also have these things called treasure rooms, which are also instances. They're kind of the same thing. Treasure rooms are indicated by red doors. We haven't seen one recently. But that's the thing about these live demos, you see. You never really know when you're going to find this stuff. Oh, by the way, Iron Man is, of course... Oh, I'm not strong enough. I thought I was strong enough to pick up a car. Has that changed?
Yeah.
Thor is?
You get stronger, yeah. With the stats have changed. That you
Pick
will
up a car,
become...
Thor.
You will become strong to pick up a car.
But yes, our stats do change over time. Keep going to find that Sergeant Hill. I haven't had a chance to find her recently.
Clint, what was your favorite costume to work on? Is what the chat room asks.
Starboost. I think Starboost is kind of my favorite costume all around.
Really?
Out of all of the Iron Men I've done so far, that's
You're
the
not just
one.
saying that now, Ken. You can be honest.
No, I'm not just saying that. I'm pretty excited about Starboost.
We'll have to send word to our friends at Marvel, like, this is the best design.
I'm pretty excited
Please
about
bring this to the comics.
Can't wait to play it.
Well, Tony has like a kind of a deep spacesuit right now. I think they call it the God Killer armor or something. He's wearing it in Guardians of the Galaxy. We've been eyeing it up as a possible costume. But yeah, I mean, Starboost looks awesome. Oh, there we go. See, picking up cars, completely possible in this game.
Yeah, Starboost has a lot of unique aspects to it that make it.
He has extra jets and stuff on him, right? Didn't
Yes,
we do a
he
little bit
does.
of extra VFX work on
Yes,
them?
we did.
It's like a crazy jetpack.
Yeah, he's got extra thrusters on the back so he can get to that suborbital elevation, and watching him fly is great.
Yeah, the trailer shows it off really well. It's great. Other than Iron Man, were there any other costumes that presented like unique challenges?
Well, I've done a lot of bad guys, a lot of mobs. Mobs always
Yeah, I was going to ask you to talk about mobs a little bit.
they always present challenges because it's you have to work in as many of the little subtleties that make things different as you can. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, we have to keep the resource calls to a minimum because it's a game, it's real time, so we can't go too nuts. And so it's always a challenge to try and make things look unique but still reusable.
Now, what do you mean by resource calls?
Resource calls refers to the number of shaders and animations and models that the game has to load for a scene, for any given scene, for any given play area.
So say one of these guys, like these punks that we're taking out here in Hell's
Mhm.
Kitchen, which is a pretty typical thing in Hell's Kitchen. Punks. These guys are relatively low? I mean, how many shaders or how many things would you have to call? How many resources would you have to get?
Well, we have multiple different shaders for the same piece of geometry for the punks, so that we can have different color clothing, different skin tones, different hats, and those sorts of things. So it ends up being one draw call for the mesh itself, and then multiple draw calls for the shader. And the shader selections are random.
That's interesting. So I didn't realize that shaders themselves were they could change things like, color. I mean, the name makes me think, well, it's just dark or light, right?
Right.
But you're saying now that it can change things like colors and
yeah, absolutely,
and even what they're wearing and stuff.
Change the color of their clothing, and yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
Okay. And you're saying it's random too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because random's a big part of the game. We want it to be as random as possible.
Exactly.
And speaking of random, look who we've just run into. So Electro here is what we call an event or open mission boss. He's designed to be taken down by a lot of heroes. And I'm telling you right now, the two of us will not be able to defeat him, but we'll give it a go. Looking forward to seeing Electro in the new Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie next year, although he'll look a little different from this. This is a good example of costume design being different. Joined by Colossus there.
He's based a little bit on Ultimate Electro. He's got that blue glow.
He definitely has an Ultimate Electro feel, yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, I prefer the ridiculous giant mask.
I'm a fan of the classic.
I'm a huge fan. I love Maxwell Dillon. He's great.
Yeah, he's pretty serious. He's got some great loot if you can take him down, but you do need to definitely do it with friends. So anyone kind of getting close will see notification that Electro's around, but you've got to be careful. He's got these electrical fields that he sets off that can do quite a lot of damage to you if you're not moving.
You don't want to stand in those.
Don't stand in the fire. Basic action RPG.
It seems like
101.
he lost modeling. You gotta invite him.
I'll have to invite him back. He's probably up running the raft.
I'm really pleased with how Electro turned out.
He's great. All right, let's just see if I can run away and invite my other party member. There we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I'm already down on my health.
You're not using your shields.
I was, but it was being.
Did you read my guide?
I'll be honest. I haven't read it yet. Ryan has been running up our beginner's guides this week. If you guys haven't seen them, they're a great little place to start. On the website, again, you'll see it on the front page that we have these beginner's guides that will give you a little bit of insight into how to play our 5 starter heroes just for this weekend. Important to point out, just for this weekend. Just for this weekend, in honor of Iron Man 3, we've changed the starting heroes. Whoa, okay. So that you will be able to play as one of the 5 Avengers: Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, and Thor. It does mean you're probably going to see a lot of those characters around on the in the game. Although you can also spend, we've given everyone essentially fake money. We've given you testing cash for this weekend only. You get some testing cash which you can use to buy other characters. You just press X, access the in-game store, and grab those. Long-term viewers of a stream will note that I am still picking up loot, even while I'm trying to take down Electro. I have a problem. Now look, you see that? I just wanted to point this out. The spectre of death hangs over Thor here.
Mistress Death.
So
it's awesome.
That means obviously Thor is downed. Now, someone like me can go in there and try and help him back up. But the problem is, you've got to do it without being interrupted, and there's plenty of thugs around in this particular area. And of course, Electro's powers here cause that to be a problem too. So you've got to be careful.
I'm impressed with how well you're doing with Electro.
Oh, we got a bunch of help here. So that's. Oh, I can see him. Oh, there he is. He's down. Nice.
Yay!
So Pinata time.
Clint, so they're asking. Somebody asked what character or costume you're working on now, but I know for a fact.
I don't know if you can talk about.
Working on something.
I'm working on secret things.
Really secret and awesome.
Yeah, so. I can't talk about what I'm working on right
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off the. All right, we're back on mic. I don't know. Mike can't even communicate it to me.
So secret, we won't tell Steven.
I have a feeling I know what it is. I think I know what it is.
There you go.
Ah, okay, right. It's kind of a code name, but yeah, I know what we're talking about now. That is secret. That is very secret.
It
Is
is
that what you're
very
working on
secret. That's
now?
what I'm
Okay.
working on.
All right.
Yep, I designed them, I built them.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool. I thought we were kind of done with them, but I guess
Super
not.
secret.
All right. Super secret. Yeah. Something very cool. I think a lot of people are going to like it. So there you go.
Yeah,
And in the game at launch too, which is awesome. Okay, let's move right along here. Let's try and find our way out of here. We're going to head towards the abandoned subway. Where the heck was I? I was in the middle of a flow there. Oh yeah, Electro. I was going to point something out. So Electro, obviously, you know, as a top level boss, as an event boss designed to be taken around by a lot of people, he drops a whole bunch of stuff, and that includes something called medals. Medals you'll find while playing Marvel Heroes are these kind of neat little tokens, sort of souvenirs, I suppose, of defeating these villains. But they also grant you various powers and abilities, or just buffs, really. So in this case, as it says here, the Electro Medal gives you a 5% chance to electrify when you deal damage. That seems appropriate to Iron Man. I'm equipping that and binding it. Now, when you equip it, it does bind on equip to that hero, which means if I now chose to, say, switch to Captain America, then I wouldn't have that medal anymore. But it means that you can put different medals on different heroes, and you can also remove them as well, but then they are permanently down. But nothing to stop you going back and defeating Electro again and getting another medal, if you wish. More power points. Let's up a few things here. So
the barrage.
I've done the barrage.
Yeah.
I want to get a little bit of a little bit of defense in here as well. So
Best defense is a good offense.
Use your shield, Steven.
yes, I know. I keep forgetting. So this is the shield he's referring to. There's 4 shield here. It will absorb 250 damage, 50% chance of doing so, and costs 40 spirit.
And it uses your secondary resource bar, which you can show them.
It does,
right
yes.
There. It shows how much you can absorb.
There's my shield capacity, which is currently 250. So there you go. Iron Man's all about some shields. Yeah, this is, as I say, this is always the problem with these live streams. We're like, where is the exit? We have to run around and find it. But it's good in the long-term replayability of the game because it doesn't feel like you know the zone from back to front, that you know exactly where everything is and how to get to it. I'm thinking about whether I should turn the sound back on, but I'm worried that it's going to be too loud. I'm gonna turn it on. You guys can let us know on the stream. There you go. Game sound is on. You let me know if it's too much. If you can't hear us, we'll have to try and speak over it. So Clint, let's talk best Iron Man stories of all time. Clearly, Iron Man being drunk is the best.
Well, it's definitely a good one.
Demon in a bottle.
It's definitely a good one. I'm actually fond of a very old story arc where he fights Ultimo in Washington, D.C. And one of the O'Brien brothers is there in the guardsman armor, and Tony's having heart trouble again. He gets crushed by Ultimo. His armor malfunctions, and he crawls away in defeat. And I can never remember which O'Brien brother is which, but one of them comes flying out. I think it's Michael. Comes flying out wearing one of the Iron Man suits and takes Iron Man's place. Fighting against a new villain who has arrived. It was Sunfire. I mean, it's very 70s. Lots of a new villain around every corner. But I really enjoyed that particular story.
You know, it's kind of funny thinking back to that period of Marvel Comics because, of course, for the longest time, Iron Man was Tony Stark's secret identity, and the cover story was that he was Tony Stark's bodyguard. Which even as a kid, I thought was hard to believe. but then again, he had the voice changing tech in the armor, so he didn't sound the same.
Yeah.
But it was kind of weird that Iron Man always turned up whenever Tony was in danger. But
it's a bodyguard. Makes sense.
I guess so. Yeah.
I always liked.
But then Tony was never around. So whatever.
I always liked the fact that he was a hero with facial hair. Because none of them ever have facial hair, but because he wears a helmet, nobody can see his face. He can get away with it.
Did you ever have a mullet? Iron Man
I
Mighty,
didn't. I never had a mullet.
What's your favorite, Steven? What's your favorite Iron Man story?
I'm not as well read, but I have a strange favorite. I don't know whether it's
I
issue
it's
that I have it stuck on my door. I need to actually buy a copy, but I have the art on my door. Which is that I think it's somewhere around the early part of the Justin Hammer era, and Iron Man's armor has been compromised, but he doesn't really know about it. and he is, I think it's a 2 or 3 part story. He's protecting some dignitary, and I think this is the end of the story. I'm kind of spoiling the end, but it was quite a big deal.
It's 30 years old.
I know, 30-year-old spoilers. But it was quite a big deal when I saw it because basically he's on a platform with ninjas. He was on a platform with this guy, like doing a photo opportunity, and he puts his hand on his back, and his repulsors are triggered remotely by Justin Hammer, and literally blows a hole through this guy and kills him. And as a kid, I was like, whoa! Like, he just killed a guy right in front of the world's media, and I was kind of like, how is he going to get out of it?
Didn't that lead into the implication
I think so, yeah. They
like,
were sort of messing with
like the
that,
world started to think he was like crazy and he
yeah.
off the rocker.
But here's the funny thing. I read that issue when I was a kid, and I never read the second part of it until literally like a month ago. It's like, how did he get out of that thing? You know, he killed a guy on national TV, but he got away with it. But the other thing, that story I think is part of an arc which includes a great sequence in Vegas when he's fighting against some of my favorite Tony Stark Iron Man villains, which would be the Melter.
One of the first Masters of Evil, one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah. Is his name? Was it Backlash? It's Blacklash, wasn't it? No, Backlash. Whiplash. Sorry.
No, it's Blacklash.
It is Blacklash.
That's right. You're right. He wasn't Whiplash.
Yeah, that's right. Right. And who was the other guy? The Melter.
Blizzard.
That's right. Yeah. And he fights them in Vegas, and there was some great action, including one particular panel which I remember very distinctly, where the Melter says he's going to melt Iron Man, because that's what he is. He's a melter.
Oh, he's a melter. Yeah.
He has like a chest cannon, kind of like a crappy unibeam, and he fires it at Iron Man, and Iron Man is basically like, I can take this. He runs down the beam and then like slams the Melter literally on his head.
Yeah.
And there's a panel which shows the Melter being smashed through like 3 floors of a Vegas casino, and I just thought that was awesome because it was like super powerful and
undeniably.
And so, any more questions for Clint? Because I'm going to let him go. I know he has suits to make and things to model. Clint, I would love to just unsolicited get advice from you to anyone who might be watching who's interested in 3D modeling or a career in like character art. Is there any kind of advice you would give them? Is it like go ahead and start learning Maya, or is it?
Yeah, well, definitely you need to learn the tools if you're going to do the job. But I guess my shortest piece of advice would be don't neglect the traditional skills.
Mm-hmm.
Color theory, composition, anatomy, all of those things are very important, and they're what make all art good, whether it be 3D, 2D, or whatever other sort.
And is it Maya you mostly use, or have you also used or dabbled with 3ds Max in the past?
No, I'm
You're
a Maya
pure
artist.
Maya guy?
Yeah. Though I use ZBrush a great deal as a character artist.
And ZBrush is a Maya product, or
no? ZBrush is a thing unto itself.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right. You want to tell us the race car driver story, or are we just?
No, I'll
leave that for another appearance.
Got to maintain my mystique.
Over time, it'll all unfold. It's
okay, guys.
It can go forever.
We have another guest. I'm just going to switch off the mic for a second, and we're gonna get him set up here. So give us 1 second. All right, and say thank you to Clint. Thanks, Clint. See you later. See you at the movies. Bye. We're back on now.
Yeah, just the two-headed.
Hey guys, so we are joined again, not by Clint. I have to take Clint's name off here. This is Josh Book. Wave to the camera.
How's it going, everybody?
This is the camera.
Oh, there's the camera.
There you go.
Camera one, camera two.
Camera one. Just camera one.
Cool.
And screen 2.
All right.
Josh is our art director on Marvel Heroes, so we wanted to bring him in to talk a little bit more about art stuff. You're Clint's boss.
I am Clint's boss, yes.
So you're the hard taskmaster driving him
that is true.
towards making all of the Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
All right. We've been talking a bit about Iron Man. We're talking a bit about the process of creating characters. But you've been on the project longer than Clint has.
Yes.
And you were on really, I guess, at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Talk a little bit about the challenge of dealing with the Marvel Universe as a whole. Like, because I mean, I was here at the beginning when we were prototyping, and you had to figure out like how are we going to represent these characters, especially when they're so varied, you know, and also from this 3D isometric zoomed out perspective.
Yeah. Well, we experimented early on with different kind of art styles and different takes on the for the game, and also we were looking really a lot how things will work to camera, what we'll read, that type of thing. So ultimately, we went in the direction that we feel is really true to the comics and to what fans would expect in this type of game. And you know, one thing I want to do early on. I've been on board for about 3.5 years, and so a little bit before when I came on board, Marvel was really in kind of this different age where everything was a lot darker and it was kind of more desaturated. And then they started to transition to what they were calling the heroic age, which I don't know if they're actually still calling it that.
I don't know
now,
whether it's officially ended or not.
Yeah, I don't know if is the age over. I'm not sure.
But we're in the age of Ultron now, so
yeah, that's right. It has gotten darker again. So, but it was so it's kind of things got more bright and colorful. You know, I wanted to keep the palettes kind of more bright and colorful because that's how I have a historical view of believing these characters have been represented, versus kind of there was the period of time where everybody was desaturating everything and getting a little bit more gritty. I think that it kind of the characters really pop nicely off the screen, and it's great. So kind of when we're looking at the look of these characters, Stephen, you're right. The different artists will draw these characters really varied, and it will change sometimes with an artist switch from issue to issue. The characters will be drawn differently. So it's always been a challenge when looking at these characters and at these different costumes of all these different characters to try to figure out you know, what is this iconic look, this iconic view. And sometimes it's more broad stroke stuff, and sometimes it's getting down into little bits of detail. Trying to kind of analyze how different characters or how different artists have drawn these characters, and then you know certain times like one character that was really hard to. Oh wait, no, I can't say we haven't talked about that one yet. Darn it! This is going to be interesting because there's a lot of secrets that I can't.
I'm trying to think which one you're thinking of now.
Yeah, I can't. There's no way to. Yeah.
We can mute it. We can turn off.
Yeah,
sound
exactly.
And figure it out.
No,
we can't talk about that at all.
Can't talk about that. Sorry. We'll find another example, but there you go.
Yeah, so just looking at all the small details on characters, sometimes small, sometimes not so small, but the inconsistencies and kind of what feels truest to these characters and how they've been represented. We look at the comics, we look at toys, we look at maquettes, we look at how they're in the movies. We kind of look at the wide range of representations of these characters. So.
We're trying to get. I mean, it's very difficult to say that we're, you know, it's difficult to make a definitive version of any of these characters. And I mean, of course, also we're talking about costumes, right?
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, I've switched on the fly here to the classic Iron Man, my favorite, the Golden Avenger. But even that, like, was, you know, he's looked different ways even in this outfit. You know, varying by artist. I've told you the Iron Man nose story, right? Haven't I?
No,
but there was a period of it's funny. It's funny actually because I've noticed that Kieran Gillen is obviously aficionado of that, because one of the variant covers on Iron Man #9 is Iron Man nose armor.
I made a joke about that recently.
There was a period of time in Marvel's history when Iron Man had a nose on his helmet, and allegedly, because I don't want to disparage anyone. Allegedly, the reason was because Stan Lee said to one of the art guys one day, "You know what? I think he should have a nose."
Yeah, he felt it was dumb that he didn't.
It was kind of strange. He was like, "Why doesn't he have a nose? Shouldn't he have a nose?"
Yeah.
So they gave him a nose. They went in and they drew the nose on this faceplate. No explanation. Just said like, "Yeah, now he has a nose."
Yeah.
And then several months later, Stan was apparently reviewing some more art and saw the nose on the costume and said, "Why has he got a nose?"
Nice.
And then the poor art guys had to go in then and change and remove the nose from all instances of it.
Yeah, like the next 2 months of comics, like it was like 2 or 3 issues. that they had to painstakingly go back and erase.
erase the nose.
I don't even
More
know.
nose, no less nose.
I don't even know if the nose exists
Yeah.
officially in continuity now. Like I don't know whether or not if you go back and get those issues,
He has a nose in a lot of them.
he does.
Yeah.
So they didn't take it out, which is
No,
I guess a good thing.
It's, I mean, not on all of
So
them.
maybe we should do that as a costume.
Yeah,
Very
there you go.
small, just the
I-
nose.
If the fans want it,
I
right?
know, yeah, if you
the
guys
fans
want
are
it,
calling for it.
If you want a nose on this lovely
nose
Fizzog,
version.
if you want a nose right here, then
Yes.
just let us know. You know,
Yes.
nose armor for the win.
That'd be a hilarious chase. We just
Oh, is
had
that
it.
the classic? You got the
That is
classic.
a classic. Yeah,
classic
sorry,
Black
Morgan
Widow.
is playing classic Black Widow.
Nice.
I-
Yes.
It's actually this is a funny example. Like we've talked before about the fact that certain characters are really tough to make alternate costumes for
Yeah.
because
There are some.
they've had like one or two looks and then they have fixed those looks and they've never really been beaten.
Yeah.
Daredevil is a classic example.
Yeah.
Like he had the red suit. I don't know, something like maybe 10 issues in. I don't know. He was in the yellow and red for quite a while, but
The other one,
switched to the red pretty early on, and then has pretty much stayed with it ever since, with a couple of exceptions. So it was difficult for us to try and find alternate costumes for him. We have, and some of which you haven't seen yet, and some of which are awesome. But Black Widow is another example. Like she, by the time they fixed her in the sort of the black bodysuit look, I pretty much followed her for probably 30, even now, really.
Yeah,
Strictly
yeah.
speaking, her Avengers outfit is
Yeah,
still just a black bodysuit. But if
kind of a different take on
you
it.
won't stand still. But there you go. That look there, the original Black Widow look, is the way she
Pretty
did
awesome.
look for a short period of time. And honestly, when I saw it, I was like, that's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But when I first
really
saw it in
like it
game,
now,
it's
yeah.
actually really good. It's one of my favorites.
Look at it. How can you go wrong with
It's
that?
great. The little cape,
Yeah, there are quite a few kind of classic, like really costumes that are designed that feel really from the era they were
Okay,
designed
Thor.
in.
All right.
That are
Learn
going to
everything
be
up.
that could be fun.
But that's
think.
it's one of the things I love about the game is that if you decide, like, I mean, he's playing original Black Widow. If I had an even earlier version of Iron Man, which may or may not possibly be in the game, then we could get together and be like, okay, we're all going to be in our original appearance costumes.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking exactly the way we did when we first appeared, or whatever. Thor, of course, we've got a classic. Keep trying to pick stuff up. Thor, of course, has a classic costume. He's another example, actually. I mean, his costume hasn't changed a great deal over the years.
Not a whole lot, but the new
Yeah.
Marvel Now one is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
looking.
definitely
I think
love
it's
that.
one of
That's my
our
favorite.
Yeah,
I
it's
plays that
a
one
great in
constantly.
game. Yeah.
Although we
Yeah.
do have the destroyer that you can see on our site. That is, in my opinion, one of the coolest costumes in the game as well.
Yeah.
Because it's
Destroyer
just
armor.
so out there. It's
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
a
cool.
nice from left field.
In the Marvel Now one, that's a good example, Steven, of when we got the really early concept for that. I remember that it was like really early on when they had a couple of different sketches of him. So that was when we had to work with Marvel to kind of clarify how this would be represented. Because sometimes another one is the I don't know if we know this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Just
Oh,
want to make sure. Just want to make sure we got it out there. There's a lot of moving parts really quickly
Although, I
in the
mean,
game.
to be
right?
honest, Stephen, we could maybe talk about upcoming suits that are going in, right?
Could we?
Maybe.
Which ones? Which ones do you think?
Like some people were asking about Rocket.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Rocket. So
he
yeah.
only has one suit.
Yeah,
but
we-
no, talk about Marvel Now first. Though.
All right,
Finish-
All
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
So because we're talking, we were just whispering out some Marvel Now stuff. So one really cool one was the new Marvel Now Cyclops, where we got, I think it was just maybe one or two sketches
Yep.
from Chris Bocciolo. That was that.
Whoa! I just took Captain America. Sorry.
Wow!
Yay! Character drop. See, I wasn't lying to you. As you can clearly see, you can drop characters in the game, and there I just dropped Captain America off the
Nice.
shocker. Nice.
I guess we should.
I think I've already actually got him in my roster, but that's actually going to let me bring up something else. Sorry, Josh.
Look at all
No,
the-
that's all right. I'll
look at all
talk.
that
Please
crap.
continue.
Oh, did you want to do it? Or do you
Awesome,
want to?
awesome loot. No,
No, so we just
Marvel
got a
Now,
couple.
Cyclops.
Yeah, we just got a couple of sketches of Cyclops that were really, parts of him really not defined. Like the face, the new mask was well defined. Other parts of the body weren't. So we had to go in, and our character artists sculpted him out, got the really pretty ZBrush turns, and then we sent that to Marvel. They said they and Chris Bocciolo loved it, and give it the thumbs up. But it was cool because we have to really. A lot of times the artist will just kind of imply shapes or imply forms just with a couple of quick strokes, but then we have to kind of take a look at it and say, okay, but what will that actually be if we were, kind of fabricating or manufacturing this in an actual costume? We have to define it a little bit further and kind of commit to it more than you can with, say, a pencil stroke or a brush stroke.
I think we joked on the stream the other day that in fact we debuted the rear of Cyclops.
Yeah,
Well,
probably. That is our claim to
That was our
fame.
claim to fame,
Yes.
because no one knew what he looked like
Yes.
from behind,
Yes.
so we were like, well, we will take
Yeah.
care of that. We'll
Yeah.
give you
We
some-
got his butt on lockdown.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
and that was the other one we were talking about earlier that we couldn't talk about. That was another thing where we were trying to find the back view of this one costume. We were just like scouring everywhere, and we found one drawing of the back.
You should have come to me. I could have told you what it looked like.
Yeah.
Steven stares at it a lot.
But yeah, no, we were mentioning. So one thing that we've said many times, and I'm glad to say that we can confirm because it's all been done, is that every hero in the game at launch will have access to 5 different alternate looks, and some of them many more than that. And the way that boils down is that there is one base, what we call a base costume, which is the costume that you get with the hero whenever you find them. Or buy them for the first time. And then there are 3 more costumes that will be available for purchase or optional in-game loot. And finally, one which we call a chase costume. And chase costumes will be very rare. Chase costumes will only drop as loot. They will never be, well, all right, never say never, right? But the current plan is that they will never be available in any other form apart from as loot drops. And that means that you're really going to have to sort of play through the game and try and find these. And we've tried to pick some really cool and in some cases kind of crazy costumes for the chase costumes.
We haven't announced this yet, right?
A few of them here and there have been in the beta.
Oh, okay,
You know, Daredevil's original red and yellow suit, for example, is a chase costume.
Yeah.
But you know, we're trying to make them pretty cool. But we were just mentioning because in some cases, like Rocket Raccoon and Black Panther, for example, neither of them. I think in both cases, Black Panther only has one alternate costume right now, which is the Wakandan tech costume, which I had on the stream a little earlier.
I gotcha.
And then
He's got some cool ones coming up though.
right, and we've been working on them,
Yeah.
and they're looking really, really good. So most of these will go into the beta before launch, and people will be able to see them. But some of them, especially the chase costumes, will not go in until the game is live. At which point you'll have to find them like everybody else. So we want to have some surprises, but you know, don't be surprised if you're running around and you see something kind of what you think looks crazy in game. It could well be a chase costume. You know, that's what it could be. Don't assume the person in question is cheating, which we see all the time. People say,
Really?
"How did you get that costume?" Like it's a chase costume. That's how. So there you go. And I mean, we have this. We get this question all the time, Josh, which is of course, how do we decide which costumes or which heroes are going to go in the game?
Yeah.
And I mentioned it a little earlier on that one of the things that we try to do with alts is make sure that from the isometric perspective they look distinctive and they look different.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to make sure. A lot of times, there, throughout the history of these characters, there have been little kind of subtle design changes or subtle tweaks to costumes, but then they won't really read significantly enough from the game camera to be distinctive from one another, or to really be that much more exciting to players. So, so we really have to take into consideration kind of like larger visual changes, which can be, there are certain characters, like I said, we were just talking about Black Panther, where he has some different alt takes, because he's another one, Steven, who's been kind of like,
he's
had kind of a fixed look for a long time. But we have found we work really closely with Marvel. We have Marvel experts in house. Ryan is someone I go to quite often to say like, "Hey, we're looking for another look for this."
We need this guy's butt.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we work with them to come up with like, okay, where were these different looks? And sometimes it's like might have been only in one issue or a couple different issues, but we want to also have ones that have, we want to try to hit all the ones that have stood the test of time that fans are going to really expect and want to have in there. But then we also try to go off the beaten path sometimes for different unique looks that have enough variation. Black Panther is one where we it took a while for us to kind of like have everybody pool their collective kind of visual memory of what we'd seen, and we came up with some cool ones, or some really fun ones that look great that are coming out.
The one I'm thinking of right now is, of course, we did the in case you didn't hear, we did the Hulk. Choose Hulk's costume community choice.
Right.
Yep.
A little while back, we asked for the last costume or the next costume that we were putting in for Hulk to be chosen by community, and funnily enough, the one that everybody chose was the one that had only been in 2 issues of Incredible Hulk ever.
Yeah.
So we had to go, and we've got those issues obviously, and we're looking at them very carefully. How's that going? Have you seen that? Oh, sorry. I should say which one it was. It was Hulk as War.
Yeah, Hulk as War.
Which was a storyline where, if I'm remembering rightly, Apocalypse kind of messes with his mind and makes him into basically one of the 4 horsemen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a crazy outfit with like a kind of a...
No, it's very
got like
subtle.
a hood and
yeah.
he has like a whip and a sword. He will not have a whip and a sword in the game, but he'll still look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Luckily
it's definitely
for us,
the brightest version, I think, of a Hulk costume we could have. It's got quite a wide color palette that the fans chose. So, but it'll look awesome, you know. At the
It's
end
gonna
of
be
the day,
really
it'll look
different.
Cool.
Lucky
Yeah,
for
it'll
us,
be very different.
our
Very
modeler,
distinct.
it wasn't Clint, it was Tyler, one of our other modelers, but he didn't sit there and say, "Are you kidding me? I have to make this."
Yeah.
He was very much
I
like,
think we
yes.
actually ran it by him first. It was
Yeah,
like,
we did.
Do
We did,
do
to
we
be
think
Yeah.
this is doable? Like,
Yeah.
This is pretty crazy.
You okay with all
Yeah.
of these choices?
No, there's
And,
there's fun challenges for every character they get to model. You know, very different, distinct looks. So it's a lot of fun.
what do you think is the craziest? I mean, and you'll have to probably confirm with us on whether or not we've announced it. But what do you think the craziest alternate costume is that we've done?
The craziest one we've done. The craziest one I know, which you've talked about before, we had not announced, and I don't know if we'll do. It's one for Captain America.
Oh, yeah, we can't.
Which you guys
talk
will
about that.
know.
Oh yeah,
We all know what
that's not
that is.
officially
We all
announced.
know
That's
what
not-
that is.
That's not officially announced.
Craziest one.
I can think of one for Hulk, but again, not announced. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's all the not. And I'm thinking of another one that's not announced yet. I'm trying to think.
Well, let's take.
Yeah, this is not
enough-
fun for the people.
I know.
Yeah,
I
I
know,
can't
I
do
know,
this.
I know,
I can't do this.
What about like the character that was toughest for us to model and get right? Because I mean, I know like weirdly enough, like characters like Miss Marvel was modeled really early on in the game, although she was heavily modified. But are there any characters you can think of that were really tough to nail in terms of modeling?
Yeah, I know one that wasn't the favorite of the character artists, which was Captain America. Was one of the first characters that we
in our very
started.
first internal demo. I remember it was Cap who was running around.
Yeah, so we've actually probably remodeled him from scratch. I'd say probably like 6 to 10 times.
Man.
Plus, when we actually were coming up with the final look, the scales on his chest, because there's all that intricate scale detail. I think Tyler, who's our lead character artist now, is that he I think had to resculpt those scales about 3 times because I was like, oh, can we make him like? He put them all on, and I'm like,
At least
the detail's a little too fine. Can we pump them up just like 30% bigger, and then he do them all? I'm like, I don't know.
But what was
Sorry,
it? I mean,
but it's Captain America, so you got to get it right, you know. So
I mean, apart from the scales and stuff, what was it that made him so difficult? Because you'd think, he's a guy.
yeah, no, it really was the scale.
Skin
detail.
tight. It was the
No,
scales
but the reason we iterated on him so early is because as we were finding the visual style for the game,
Hmm.
he was kind of our go-to because we built him and we could compare what does he look like with different looks. We started, more cartoony kind of proportions. The thought being that from our camera distance pulled out, we kind of wanted to make the hands and the feet a little bit larger and the head's a little bit larger so that we read from camera a little bit more. So we iterated and we did kind of multiple steps. And at some point it'd be great to show a lot of this kind of visual development from an early on standpoint because I think fans would just find it interesting. But so we were iterating on him and kind of changing the look. And so we could compare apples to apples. We were remodeling Captain America each time and seeing how he'd feel differently. Because it's really interesting, doing just like slight proportional changes would make him either feel more heroic, or maybe this feels too cartoony, or skews too young, and what level of musculature do we want to have represented on the characters?
So he was kind of a touchstone in a way, I guess.
He was, yeah.
People were going to end up looking kind of similar, boots, gloves, mask.
Exactly, yeah. Like one thing was we had to establish kind of what is our base body type for these characters. Then obviously we build upon those and give variation for different forms. Because, for instance, Thor's frame is very different from say Cyclops's, and Hulk and Thing obviously sit outside of all of them. Colossus is another guy who's very differently proportioned, but we kind of had to establish that kind of visual language for how we're defining the characters.
Picked up a few Magia thugs here, as you can tell.
Yeah.
We're not short of the mobs in our game.
I
Love you guys.
Thor's taking care of business though.
Yeah.
calling the thunder.
In terms of, you asked earlier, Steve, about how we choose which characters are in the game. And I would say that those are probably some of the most impassioned and spirited discussions we have, because obviously, we're all huge fans here, and everybody wants to get their favorites in the game. And I think we've pretty much hit most of them that people have. But then there are ones that that might be a little more obscure characters that people are like, oh, we got to get them in. So, and there's some big ones I know the community wants, and we're gonna work on getting them in too. But
Gambit.
But yeah.
Gambit.
Yes.
Everybody's
yes,
talking about that.
Yes,
That's what they're
we're
saying
hearing
now.
everyone's desires for Gambit.
There's some costumes that I would lobby for, but I haven't won any battles on.
Oh, really?
There's some Punisher looks I really want to see.
Oh, really? You
We'll
should
see.
let us know.
We'll see.
Let us know, because yeah, it's great to get all the community's feedback on costumes. There are a couple of great threads in the forums about that, and we definitely take a look at all of that. And it's great to get this input, because you guys might have looks that you can remember that like we can internally. Because obviously with the last, what were we have? How many years of
60
Marvel?
years.
Yeah, it's
over
like
70 now.
I don't think we have anybody in house who's read every single issue of every single title.
But we definitely use the forum. Like we got a lot of good ideas from there.
Oh yeah.
Like some of the costumes that are going in and are in now are because of people's suggestions.
Exactly.
Like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Josh saw it and was like, let's do that.
Yeah.
So.
And we have some fun costumes coming up also. Again, I'm sorry to play the hey, we can't tell you what it is game, but we do have some.
Steven, can we drop one rocket, not a chase? Every single stream we get questions about Rocket costumes.
Rocket, I think we can safely say that fans of Rocket's current look in Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be happy.
Exactly. There you go. That's all I wanted.
But we have some where we have a character where we were talking to Marvel. We're like, hey, we want some new alt looks, and they said, okay, here's some concept that we had a comic artist do, and so we actually modeled, like, this is a costume that fans won't have ever seen before, that a comic artist had done for a character, and defining a new look. And then we, and that was when we had to kind of define and build off of it as well, because we had just one view of this costume, but it was really cool, and we were able to build it out. So that's one that'll be coming soon as well.
And also, I mean, we've got the rights to do, Marvel, as I would say, is sort of graciously allowing us to do alternate costumes of our own. I don't think we've done any yet.
No, we haven't yet, because we really want to
ideas.
hit. Yeah, we have some ideas. We have some stuff that we want to propose and push. Actually, no, we do have one.
Probably haven't released that one yet.
No, it's.
But we have one. That's good.
Yeah,
it's a start.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one that is kind of our design, but I'm not going to go into that story.
No, there's a big one that's,
I can't think of the big one.
Oh, the villain.
Yeah, the villain.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There is a villain with a costume which is unique to us, but I'm not going to say who.
That Marvel really liked the design. We went back and forth with them and came up with some stuff.
Did Nino do that?
Yeah, Nino. Yeah, concept artist Nino
out
Navarra designed that. Nino also designed, if you guys have seen the awesome Doom shirt with all the fractured logos of the different families that
it's painful to remind them, because we can't sell you those.
No, we can't sell
love
you.
to,
Do
but
you
we
have a
can't.
picture of that anywhere in here? No. All right.
The shirt.
Oh wait, yeah.
That's it. That's the shirt.
Here it is.
Yeah.
We're tempting
This-
them now.
this-
This shirt
there
that
it
you
is.
don't have.
This shirt you don't
Yeah,
have.
that you may or may not have.
I tell you what I'll do.
Nino
Just for
designed
this stream,
Uh-huh.
I will send, not this shirt, but I will send. We have other shirts. I will send a shirt to someone between now and the end of the stream, which will probably be another 30 minutes. Ryan will pick the question.
I pick a question.
You pick the
Okay,
question.
good
The best question will get a shirt. There you
Okay.
go.
The question
There's an
is,
incentive.
do you want the shirt?
So
So
sending
somebody
good
who has a
questions
really
to
good
Josh.
question for
and
Josh.
then- For
So,
Josh.
all right.
And then.
So
Assuming Josh sticks around. I mean, he might not stick around.
Well, I'll be here for a few more minutes. There's a lot to do right now.
There
as
is
you
a
guys can
lot to
imagine.
do. Yeah.
But any art questions, feel free. But yeah, so anyways, so Nino designed this other costume, and we do have more on the way. More we want to push in. Obviously, it's going to be exciting to have original costumes debut, but we really want to get what the fans really will want and expect, because myself as a fan, it's like when you've seen these looks for all this time and you're invested in these looks, you're invested in these characters. That's what you want to see. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, alternate costumes is probably the second most ferocious argument over next to characters over what we want to get in the game. Everybody has their own looks. Everybody has things they want to get, and we want to get in as many as we can. I mean, it's been very helpful for us to see people's testing and what they've been buying naturally, and we're going to continue to tweak that. None of the sort of stuff you're seeing in the game right now is final. A lot of this stuff is going to change, including stash management for those who are asking. This is a very simple version of the final stash, and there will be more changes being made. In fact, have been made and look great. One thing I wanted to point out is this is a momentous occasion. That it was appropriate that my first ever, believe it or not, ever happened on a live stream. And here you can see I've got Captain America. And I have already got Captain America in my roster. As you can see there, he's level 15. I've been playing him quite a lot. But you'll see if you can't read... Oh, sorry. I'm forgetting that I'm not even showing you the game. Sorry about that.
Oh, they've just been staring at us this whole time?
Not the whole time. The last few minutes. So you may be able to read this. It says, using this item improves the level of the ultimate power of Captain America by 1. So basically the way it's going to work is as you get random heroes while playing the game, if you get a hero that you haven't already got in your roster, so in this case if I didn't have Captain America, then using that item would add Captain America to my roster, which is pretty awesome. But if you have already got Captain America in your roster, using that item will increase Captain America's ultimate power by 1. Ultimate power is something that we talked fairly extensively with David about on the previous stream, which will be on YouTube sometime later today, if you haven't seen it. And ultimate power plays very heavily into the end game of the game, and is basically these are incredible ultimate powers, as you might be able to tell. And they will be in the game in closed beta before we push the game live, so you guys will be able to see them in action. But Josh, you have been involved in pushing some of these ultimate powers and creating them. And I've heard some pretty crazy stories. I've seen a couple. Yeah. And they're looking pretty good.
They're pretty awesome.
Without going into detail about what they do, do you have a favorite?
Yes. Am I allowed to say?
You can say which character it is.
Oh, Scarlet Witches is pretty phenomenal.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's clearly the kill all mutants power, right? That's the one that just ends. Everybody on the server dies.
It kills the server.
Yeah.
The server goes down.
No. No, but it's pretty amazing, that one. Yeah.
Okay.
It has a nice dramatic moment, and it feels like the cool thing about the ultimate powers is obviously they're supposed to be huge, so we try to encapsulate the kind of different we want to try to make them feel really true to the character, and so you can do those in different ways. And with hers, it feels like it's kind of there's like a story moment. Believe it or not, like in the power, we can put like a story moment in the power, so it feels really pretty cool. Which is part of what we're doing with all the characters, with all the powers designs. We really want them to feel true and iconic to these characters. And hers just really, it's pretty phenomenal. It looks awesome. We showed it yesterday at a meeting. We were doing a UI review meeting, and we had to play it. And there were people there who hadn't seen it before, and they were just like, "What? That is awesome!" And then like they played it again and again and again because they were just watching it. So we're having a lot of fun with those. And we really do want to make them feel like the ultimate.
There you go. And Scarlet Witch is, of course, a starter hero in the final game, so you'll be able to get her
She's got some great powers. The effects guys have done an awesome job with her, with a lot of the characters.
And last thing I'm going to have you talk about before we leave is enhanced costumes.
Yes.
So enhanced costumes, if you're not aware, enhanced costumes are costumes that will have a variety of different things applied to them. It will depend. Some enhanced costumes will have more and some will have less. It kind of depends on what we've done. And the example that many of you may have seen is
on the screen.
Oh yeah, let me switch over. You'll see it. Is this guy, which is Pirate Deadpool. That's the current only enhanced costume in the game. Now, so Pirate Deadpool, Deadpool himself is voiced by Nolan North, who is a very well-known voice actor, and we're really, really glad to get him. But Pirate Deadpool is obviously Deadpool wearing a pirate costume, which means that in this case, this version of Deadpool talks like a pirate.
Yes.
Sounds like a pirate, makes pirate-related puns and jokes and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of his lines of dialogue have been replaced, which is great. So that's a good example. The other one, which we can't show right now, but we will do on the stream before we go live on another stream, not today. Is Spider-Man's symbiote costume.
Yes.
And how's that coming along? Because I hear that he's coming
it looks
along pretty
great.
well.
Yeah, it looks really cool. We've modified the effects appropriately so they feel true to the costume. Have we shown any of that yet? I don't know.
We showed
a tiny little bit of.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And that was early actually. It's been improved.
Yeah. So he basically shoots symbiote black webs that are really cool. effect. So we are going through, and that means for every power, we're actually designing 2 different powers. We have new powers specifically for his enhanced costume. So
That's great.
yeah,
And we have loads. So I mean, the enhanced costume also, as I said, new or different VO is often the case. So in the case of Symbiote Spider-Man, we have Christopher Daniel Barnes doing the voice of Symbiote Spider-Man, and doing a different performance for Symbiote Spider-Man, which is important to realize. He played Spider-Man on the animated TV show in the 90s, and he has a couple of great episodes where he does find the symbiote and is sort of changed by it. So yeah, Chris was a great choice for that, and we're really excited that he was able to play that for us. But enhanced costumes is something that we're going to be adding more and more to as the game progresses, and they'll be pretty awesome. And in the case of the Symbiote Spider-Man costume, it is exclusive to the Ultimate Pack. We wanted to really do something special to say thank you to everybody who supported us with the Ultimate Pack and the Founders Program. But the Deadpool pirate costume is going to be available as a loot drop at this point in time, is the current thinking. So you will be able to get this. It will be pretty rare, but it will be available to you. And we'd love to hear from you about suggestions about enhanced costumes. In some cases, our thinking is that enhanced costumes might, for example, change the sex of a character. We've talked about that in theoretical terms for Lady Deadpool, for example, as a possibility. Then that would be the real Lady Deadpool, not Deadpool in a dress, as many of you apparently have
the Marvel Girl outfit.
No,
in the Marvel Girl outfit.
Oh,
yeah.
that one too, yeah.
He's
been a woman so many times.
Yeah.
There's
Some
a
of you have a
nurse
fairly,
costume.
I'm going to just say, some of you have quite a serious desire to see Deadpool in women's clothing. I'm not going to comment any further. But yeah, that's a good example. But what we're trying to do, generally speaking, is not use enhanced costumes as a kind of a shortcut to do another character. If a character is sufficiently different, in powers, then we really want to use do them as a different character if we can do it. A good example for me being Red Hulk, who some people think, well, he should just be an enhanced costume for Hulk because he's just Hulk but red. That's not true. He has powers that are derived from a sort of radiation. He's kind of leaking radiation and all this kind of stuff. So we want to make him a different character if we can possibly do it. And we need to let you go because you have many things to do. Do we have any good questions, Ryan?
Here, read a bunch of these and pick one for me. I wrote a bunch down.
I want to give you the responsibility of what?
I mean, I'm curious what you think.
What enhanced costumes we want to do? I don't know if we can talk about that.
Whispering now.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Sure.
If you don't understand any of them, because I kind of did shorthand.
No, yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah, we haven't really talked about that. I think that's worth talking about.
Tried to.
Okay. Is this? Am I reading that name right?
You might be. I didn't write all the names down because.
Looks like Malvolio. Is that fair?
Malvolo. Yeah.
Malvolo. He asks, are characters like Phoenix and Human Torch harder to do, presumably because of their fiery kind of nature and effects and stuff?
Yeah. I would say yes, they are actually harder to do. One thing when dealing with a kind of natural effect such as fire, we have kind of an expectation of what this looks like based on observing the real world, versus things like Cyclops' optic blast is much more fantasy based, and so there's not necessarily a visual target that's exact where we go, that feels right. We certainly work towards the target and say that feels right in terms of if it feels like the character should feel and based on how we've seen it in comics and such. But things like fire, natural effects that we have to do in the game, we're judging them against reality, which obviously is a bigger challenge. Plus Phoenix, what was that?
A harsh mistress.
Yeah, exactly, reality is, yes. So, but also the Phoenix effects, there's just a ton of them in the big fire, like spreading effects and all that type of work. It's a ton of work. And she's as a character is really interesting because of the fact that she almost has they're not really two full power sets, but we had to come up with two different looks, and she has a lot of different powers that we had to kind of define in both her normal mode like this and also her Phoenix mode.
Are her powers pink in this?
No? Yeah.
That was a community.
Yeah, that's community.
Feedback thing,
yeah, community feedback. Yeah, the community spoke and they said we really want to see Jean Grey.
We need pink.
Yeah, we need pink powers to feel more like her. Which was a great call. We thought that was great, not just from the yes, it feels more like how she's represented most of the time in the comics, but also that gives a great contrast to when she goes into Phoenix form, and all of a sudden you have the more yellows and oranges, which contrast against the more pinks and whites and like kind of light purples. So thanks you guys for that feedback, because it's great. We want to make the game as awesome as possible, so that feedback really helps us keep pushing it.
All right, and thank you very much. Was it Malvolo?
Malvolo.
For that question, we're going to send you a T-shirt. So Ryan's going to have to talk to you in the chat room. We'll figure out how we get that done. This is a bit impromptu.
I have him. He's going to PM me on the forums.
There you go. Done. And we'll get you a T-shirt out. So there you go.
Cool.
All right, Josh. Thank you very, very much for hanging out.
Yeah,
we're going to let you go because I think you have to make 10 more costumes before dinner time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye,
Bye.
Josh. All righty. I'm just going to Alrighty. We are going to wrap things up probably in about 15 minutes, and happy to take your questions while we're on. If you haven't played the game, of course, as a reminder, you can play open beta of Marvel Heroes this weekend. That means you come in, you test drive, you play, you have fun. It does not mean that the game is finished. It does not mean that your progress in this weekend is going to transfer through to the final game. It is essentially a test drive, so enjoy it. The servers are actually open now. The servers are up. I can see, let me see, many people on the servers right now, but we have been sort of soft launching it today, wanted to see how it performed, and the answer is it performs pretty well. So that's great. So we are up. So if you have any other questions that we can try and answer, then shoot them at us. We're going to probably be online for about another 15 minutes before I jump off again, because we've got many things to do this afternoon, including going to see Iron Man 3.
I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, pretty pumped. So any questions at all? Beulah?
Do you plan to create quest lines / side quests that are basically a pulled comic book from the storyline of one of the heroes, and you get to relive the
I
comic
see what you
book?
mean. Yeah. Not at launch.
Not at launch, yeah, but it's something we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like a
been
possibility.
talked about.
Future content.
Yeah, I think the thing to understand is at the very beginning of the game process, when everyone was mapping out how big the game was going to be, there was a suggestion, for example, of like, well, we should just we should put an individual storyline in for each hero, and what we quickly realized was that was going to be practically impossible for us. The number of heroes that we want to put in the game over time would make it prohibitively impossible. There have been other games which I may have worked on, which did individual storylines for different character classes, and that takes an incredible amount of resources and time. And then the thing is, and this is the brutal honest truth, you can make the best and most beautiful storyline in the game, and then people will still blast through it, in a very short period of time. So we felt that going with the traditional action RPG thing of trying to make randomization an important part of what we were doing, and make it replayable was key. And then of course we're trying to build great endgame activities as well. So that is a long-winded way of saying no, but that doesn't mean that it will never happen. I think it's much more likely that we will do storylines or anything similar where it features a team, for example. So my dream is things like Secret Invasion or Siege or Civil War or the Kree-Skrull War or something like that.
Big event kind of storylines.
Using those kind of basis of things, I think that's exciting. So we've talked about that kind of thing. But yeah, that's kind of the way I think it'll go, at least initially. What else do we got?
What else do we got? Let's see. I just answered. What's max level? We haven't announced it yet.
Well, apparently David has decided, so I have to find out.
I know, I'm curious too. I was like, what is it going to be? Let's see. Any chance of motion comics as collectibles? That's
I think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, achievements are something that we've talked about. It's something that we want to get done. So I could see comics in some form being collectible.
Well, specifically, they said motion comics.
Yeah, I think that's
Which is
not a
cool.
bad idea. Yeah, yeah.
Like how Taskmaster Tape is, I think is the
Yeah,
inspiration.
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Which
yeah.
makes sense because we're in the storage yard. Which Steven and I just found is going to have the coolest mob ever pretty soon.
I would defer judgment on that just right now, but there is a mob being added to the storage yard. We found out today.
That
which
is,
is kind of interesting.
it's completely awesome. Is the actual answer.
It is an interesting mob. It's going to cause some controversy, I think.
Let's see. Do we plan to do Asgard? That would.
Asgard, huh?
Huh.
Why would we do Asgard? I don't know why.
There's no reason.
Thor 2, baby. Thor 2.
Maybe.
Maybe. We'll see.
that'd be cool.
It would be nice.
Baxter Building? Oh, I always forget that we don't
should
have
have the Baxter Building. Yeah, maybe as a social hub at some point. You know,
Sometime in the
we
future,
have
we could do
Mr.
that.
Fantastic and Sue Storm in the game, perhaps.
Some crazy labs of reads.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, yeah. A portal to the negative zone, perhaps.
There you go. Somebody asked for the Nowhere Hub. Do you know what Nowhere is?
It rings a vague bell.
It's the Guardians base. It's inside
yeah,
of a,
right,
it's
right.
inside of a Celestial's head, floating head.
Well, guys, you know, come on now.
It's
What's
like-
happening next summer? We all know what's happening next summer.
Who knows? Who knows?
We're not planning ahead that far, I'll tell you. But you
I
know,
bet I'm-
Guardians of the Galaxy
we can
next
sit
summer,
around here
baby.
and talk about all kinds of cool ideas that
Yeah.
we like.
We love
but
the idea.
Ultimately, yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Disclaimer: we're just geeks. Because, you forgot your shield again. Somebody said.
I know.
You gotta read that guide.
I'm not dying though. You know, I'm doing okay. I'm kind of maybe a little over level for this.
Thanks, Vox, who keeps reminding you about your shield.
Well, he's not reminding me. He's reminding you, and then you need to remember to remind me.
Michael Mayhem said he'd like to see the Sanctum Sanctorum. That'd be awesome.
Well, we have the front door to it, don't we? The mysterious door. I think that's supposed to be the Sanctum
Sorta.
Sanctorum.
It's just a door that's very
Cleo's
mysterious.
hanging out by.
It's not in Greenwich Village though, so
Well, we need to get Doctor Strange first, guys.
it's true. How many people are on the Marvel Heroes team? I actually don't even know.
We're relatively small in games industry terms. There's probably about 80, 90 people in the studio. So don't go thinking that we're, you know, a mega studio like, you know, some of these big console guys. We're not at that level.
Will there be an authenticator?
That we've had some talks about, but I can't talk about it any more than that right now.
It's a good question. Nobody's really brought it up in any of our streams, so
Have a good
It's
password.
Something new.
I'll say
Yeah.
that much.
Have a good password, exactly. This is a cool one that we should actually. I'm not going to answer that. Never mind. That's a good one though.
We'll talk about that later.
Somebody will be happy.
Okay.
Any plans on Superior Spider-Man?
Would you like Superior Spider-Man?
That's the classic answer. Anytime somebody asks about a costume now, it's like, is that what you guys want?
Because that's the thing. I mean, the truth is, like, everybody says that they want X, then we're probably going to make X. You know. So, you know.
Unfortunately, the entire game can't be designed around what we like. But
Well,
maybe a little.
we have a pretty strong say in it. I think it's fair to say. But
Franking Castle.
Frankie Castle again.
Malvolo, our T-shirt winner, really wants to see Blackbeard Thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. I know what you mean.
That's
yeah.
the one that I was
He has
talking
been. Yeah,
about.
he has been mentioned.
I rallied for that.
We have been mentioned.
Yeah.
There is a Thing costume that we have seen.
Oh, that is the coolest.
which is super cool, and we're really excited
and
about
also Chase, so we can't
it.
talk
I think
about
it is the Chase. Yeah, I think the Chase costume is great.
What we're trying to tell you guys is that Chase costumes are really freaking cool. And
Hopefully,
that-
I'm
and
sure there'll be
that-
some Chase costumes that people will complain are not good enough, but
still, a lot
We're
of
trying
them
to
are
make them
really
as cool as
cool,
we get.
and we wish we could talk about them.
yeah.
Maybe
But we
sometime-
can't. We don't want to spoil surprises.
Yeah, it's not as fun.
And then when the game launches and you all find them, then we can talk about it. That's what I hope some of our streamers will do. They'll be like, I'm on the hunt for the Chase costume for blah. And they will play until they find it. Anything else? Because I got plenty to do and not much time to do it. So
Are there any upcoming Spider-Man changes? He just had a bunch.
He
more
has
today.
had even more today. Yeah, he's getting
He's really
tweets a
good.
lot.
He's really good right now. I'm gonna go
I
ahead.
will-
Personally, I think he's very good right now.
I will probably get him. I haven't had any time to play him, unfortunately, but I tell you what, I'll try and play him a bit over the weekend, and then we'll do a stream with him either this weekend or next week, for sure. But this weekend we are all about this guy. Who, of course, is able to play in his Iron Man movie armor. I'm going a bit retro here. But don't worry, plenty of movie armor options.
Will there be more server uptime than downtime instead of the opposite? Soon the servers will be up all the time because our game launches very soon.
Yes.
So
And we're going to be running longer times between now and then.
yeah,
So we can-
I mean we're
so
running
we
all
test.
weekend right now, which is
We are running all weekend. We're running from right now, with barring any unforeseen hiccups, between now and Monday morning at 10 a.m., which is
PDT.
6 p.m. Yeah, PDT, I should say, 6 p.m. in London. And
7 p.m. in Italy, I suppose.
yeah, and I understand that Europeans were not happy about our opening time tonight, so there you go, surprise! We're up now.
We're open.
Get in and play.
Woo!
All right, I'm going to be wrapping it up in a second because
Getting sleepy.
I got so much stuff to do. Wanted to mention that if you haven't seen it, you should definitely be checking the site today. There's a bunch of new news that's going to go up. A few things you're going to want to know about, yeah, check them out. We have a cool new trailer for Iron Man, which is live on YouTube and will be live on the site very soon. And we are also working on a trailer for Thor, which may appear this weekend. If not, will definitely appear very soon afterwards. Wow, we've got a lot of heroes around here. So yeah, look out for them. And of course, I'm not going to be in a body slab. There's always the problem with these.
Apparently, Malvalo is in Austin.
Oh, cool!
He was hoping we were in Austin so he could pick up the shirt.
If only we were in Austin. Oh well,
So
that would be my dream.
That would be terrible. That would be too hot.
It wouldn't be terrible.
That would be
It
too
really
hot,
wouldn't.
though.
Send us some torches tacos.
Oh, that's
Right.
yeah.
Austin jokes.
I've heard a lot about
Austin
that.
jokes now. Not good. Running away for the Taskmaster Institute. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, really, really appreciate it. As I've said a few times, but just to reiterate, we are open live now. The servers are up. You can get in. You can play. All you need to do is go to marvelheroes.com and sign up, and that will let you download the client. So get yourself in there and get ready to play. And we are live right now all the way through till 10 a.m. on Monday, our time, which is 6 p.m. in London, 1 p.m. on the East Coast. And if you haven't spread this news with your friends, then please do. The NDA has been lifted. You can go ahead, you can stream all weekend if you wish, you can take screenshots, you can write blogs, you can tweet about it, and so on and so forth. We'd love to hear from you. And we also hope that you enjoy Iron Man 3 this weekend if you haven't seen it already, because we know we're going.
They want you to say beta one more time.
Beta.
Or say beta. just give them what they want.
Closed beta.
There you go.
Yeah, beta.
That's what they want.
As in an egg. Beta. See, this wasn't a problem on my previous game because we never said that word, but now I get exposed every time.
There you
Closed
go.
beta.
They made them very happy though. So
Yay! Alright guys, thank you very, very much for watching, and we'll be back again. We may do a couple more streams this weekend. Ryan and I just got to figure out when. And then we'll definitely be streaming again next week. Some more special guests. We'll probably get David back on again and we'll talk about stuff. That'd be great. Alright, bye-bye for now.